I'm voice actor Jeff Williams, and when I'm not busy being a crack dealer, because I'm also a chiropractor, I listen to Another VO podcast. Thanks for listening. Now let's turn it over to this gaggle of knuckleheads.
Hey, welcome back. This is another VO podcast, and we are the group of four. Well, I can't say gang. I learned my lesson last week.
Right, come on.
Yeah.
It is the group of four. Welcome back.
My mom said no gangs, so
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
We're going to be a gang. I want a cooler name.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the
we could use the initials.
Like
we could be
AVOP.
AVOP.
We could be what?
AVOP, AVOP,
AVOP.
Another VO podcast.
AVOP.
I'm
Yeah.
an
I was
AVOP.
like, who in our group's name starts with a V? I thought it was going to be our names.
No one else. Okay, whose name starts with an O or a P, Charles?
Have you ever seen a biker going down the road and you're trying to read the back of his jacket and you totally misread it,
And
then
you
when
crash
get up there,
into... No.
no, but when you get up there on him and you see it, you're like, oh, I was pretty sure it wasn't what I thought it was. I had one yesterday and it was really foul what I thought it said, and I said, "There's no way it says that." And Amy said, "You have got to go back to the eye doctor. You're not even close."
No, when I said a cooler name, I always mean something more like the Van Buren boys in Seinfeld, right? Remember that followed the poorly known president.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
it's funny
Real quick.
signs.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Funny signs like you think it's something, but it's not. In the town of Battlefield, Missouri, where I used to live, on the corner of like two streets kind of wide together, right? One street ran into another one, and there was a triangle of like a big triangle plot of grass there, right? On the corners, like you can't put a house there. And there was a tombstone in the ground, right in the middle of that patch. And I always thought it was so weird. And we had a pizzeria there, so I passed it like every day delivering pizzas. And I just thought it weird that there was this tombstone that was like right in the middle of the neighborhood. And so I stopped one day and I read it. And it said like, on this day, or on whatever dates, February 14th, 1842.
Columbus sailed.
Nothing happened. It just says nothing happened.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was like,
Awesome.
okay, I like it.
Wow.
That could be notable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my story.
I loved it, Charles.
Thank you.
I need a day like that where
Anticlimactic.
nothing would happen.
Right, nothing.
Womp, womp, womp,
Yo,
womp.
speaking of stories, though, we do have a listener that wrote in to me via my website. So real quick, want to make it, just want to put this out there again. If you have questions, we welcome them, but just go ahead and email them to anothervopodcast@gmail.com. But we had Ty Manavong reach out and said, "Good morning, Jake. I wasn't sure if this was a good way to contact you for your podcast ideas. I am a newer VO artist and was hoping you could do a segment on buyout versus in perpetuity and how you know if it's a good job to audition for. Other episodes say not to do in perpetuity, but audiobooks and video games are buyout as far as I have researched. I would love to hear about the distinctions. Thank you, Ty." I did respond to Ty, but but we'll just go over that here again while, since everyone's listening now. Yeah, we definitely talked for not working for in perpetuity, but I think for the most part, we're talking about broadcast, like paid broadcast jobs.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
Advertising.
Yeah, because you're totally right, Ty. I mean, and I hope it's Ty and not Tay, or I hope I'm saying. Not that I have anything against Tay. I just mean if it's
What if his name's Tay and he's like, God, really?
God, really, yeah. So
Keep
Ty or
digging.
Tay.
Keep digging.
I know.
I know.
Why did I bring the shovel? Anyway, just keep going. Well, anyway, yes, yeah, good. Ty or Tay is correct. What if it's T? Anyway, no, so they're correct.
my goodness.
Audiobooks and video games and corporate narration, things that aren't going to be just like blasted out there like on paid paid broadcasting or paid any kind
Paid
of like
placement.
paid placement. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about when we're saying don't work for in perpetuity. I mean, like
Right.
there's things that and you know what? There's certain things that the GVAA actually like prices out for like a buyout, like a website video or something that's going to live on somebody's YouTube channel. There are prices for those things. Now, again, I'm not sure if Ty or Tay or T has checked out the GVAA rate guide. But if you do, that definitely breaks down, like when you should and shouldn't work for in perpetuity, because it gives you those options, for like multiple years, especially in the paid broadcast use. And stuff like that. So, if we didn't make that clear, I'm sorry about that. And I did respond to Ty Taylor T and let them know, just kind of like what we meant by that. But as far as good auditions, like what's something you guys look for, like when you're determining whether or not you want to audition for it? I think for me, first off the bat is like, do I match the project? Do I match the role they're casting? What about you guys?
Price.
Yeah, that's the first question I would ask.
Priced. Yeah. Where's the money? No, but I get you. Yeah, of course. Like you want the money, you want the job
fair
to
compensation.
Pay fair. Fair compensation for your work. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Compensation also, not just like in the specs. There's going to be different things that determine whether you feel like you are a good fit for it or not. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could be nationality. It could be race. Maybe they're looking for a Hispanic American. They're looking for an African American. They're looking for, then normally I'm not gonna audition for those roles, right? Because they're trying to exclusively cast, especially if it's mentioned.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like looking for blah, 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 blah. Right?
But there are times that say like, maybe we get, maybe we do want to try like this. So then you're obviously welcome to audition for that too. Yep. Read the fine print is a good, read everything first. Look, I know pay to play jobs, there's just pressure to get the job in. And I get that because, you kind of have to be quick about it. And sometimes the pay to plays don't vet the auditions well enough to, when they're sending them to you. But on 123 a lot, I get auditions all the time for accents that I just do not do or advertise.
Right.
So it's like, okay. So as soon as I see that, I'm like, okay. But agency auditions, production house auditions, you can take your time with those. Like, I mean, they have deadlines. They understand that everyone's just getting them. And honestly, like submitting quick is good to show, I'm responsive, but you're submitting a little too quick, maybe, because then it shows like, oh, this guy's just reading it and burn and turn. You know what I mean? Like, take time to do your research. And we've heard high-profile coaches talk about, and casting directors, the ones that are booking are ones that are doing their research.
Yeah.
I'm not saying take days or anything like that, but I mean, like, take some time, look what they're asking for, and try to find similar things to compare it to, so you kind of know what realm that you live in. But again, make sure you do match those specs, and make sure that the price is fair for you.
Yep. Absolutely. I have, and I hope one of you guys are going to say, yeah, I did that once too. I've done an audition. I recorded it. I had it recorded, and I thought I read it, and then I went back and read again right before I sent it, and I went, oh, crap, that's for a female. Or, crap, that's for a so-and-so. And I'd already wasted, I'd wasted 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times, so I try to read better now. But I know I've mentioned probably before, I'm trying to audition only for what I really feel confident I'm going to get short list or book. So I'm reading them a lot better than I used to, so I don't do that anymore. But I am finding too that's been a huge help. Really, really don't. There are people who say you need to do 50 or 75 a day. Well, if they're a fit for you and you can do that many, salute. I think that's great. Yeah. I wish I got 50 a day that I could do. I'd love 50 at bats, but I'll take 10 solid at bats over 25 crappy at bats.
Really having to try and stretch. And do I really fit this?
And every now and then you'll accidentally win one of those. Sometimes it happens.
Oh crap! I did the audition. Can I do the job?
It does happen, And then I got to go back and dig that audition up because I'm looking at the email and I'm like, really? I got that?
Have you ever submitted to something and you'd be like, I'd be shocked if I got this, and then you get it and you're like, oh crap, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Or if you're sick and you're well, I'm going to do some auditions, and it's like, well, it's probably never going to work, and then you get hired for it, and it's like, well,
we love the nasally sound.
I had COVID and I sounded like crud. So now what am I going to do? I better go to the gas station and start licking some pump handles, start getting sick again. You know what I mean?
Well, but oftentimes it's not that they're falling in love with.
Right.
It's your read. It's the energy, the energy, the way you're interpreting the script. That's often what they like most. And if you sound just a little bit different than you did when you had the crud.
That's exactly true, because I heard a commercial this weekend. This weekend on, I think it was Spotify or something. And it was for I don't know if I could even say it. No,
Pandora.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Oh. It's for a company, but the casting director, I went to one of their workshops and they pulled that commercial's audition. And they were like, this is the audition that I chose, or that we went with. And these are some of the reasons why. And it was a great audition. It was fantastic, right? The audition was 10 times better than what the commercial was.
Wow.
Because we got to listen to the person and really feel their personality. And that's what really won that thing for them, that audition. And then when I heard the commercial, I was like, yeah, it's the same person, but what happened to all the flair? Like, what happened to all the awesomeness? And, that's what happens in sessions, right? You have 25 people in there. Sometimes they don't know what it is, but they think they know what it is. And they're talking with each other and they're trying to impress their bosses and the director that's on the call and everything. And, the audition was loads better than what the actual commercial was.
Yep. Too many chefs and they overcooked it.
Oh
yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
that's a good way to put it.
Speaking of overcooking, today we're going to talk egg parts. Today we're going to talk about a little bit briefly about the 2023 NAVA survey, and what we're going to hit on mainly, because you could go for hours talking about a lot of this stuff, but we're mainly going to talk about income, time on the job, or at the craft, I should say, not time on the job. And then a little bit about the online casting. There's some other stuff in there about how people get their leads and some other stuff. I'm not crazy about that part of it because the number one answer was LinkedIn, and that's where we go get the information for the leads, but it's hard for me to swallow. That's
because I've been taught like you really don't reach out to people on LinkedIn. Like there's situations where it's like, hey,
secondary.
Like a follow up. Hey, we connected earlier, or hey, we just did this session a couple days ago. Like thought we could connect, you, that kind of thing. But you're not like, hey, saw that you do this. Whatever, blah 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 blah. I mean, like that's interesting that they say LinkedIn.
I've had one job on LinkedIn, and it was not because they found me on LinkedIn. They found me somewhere else, like I think maybe Upwork, which I don't even monitor. I haven't monitored for well over a year and a half. But they went and found me on LinkedIn, reached out to me, and we worked together twice actually.
Nice.
Now, so maybe that's what they mean. Stuff's happening like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I want all of us to think about as we go through this is where we fall into some of this, and we're going to read through some things. And a lot of you may have already read it, seen it, whatever, but with us kicking it around, it may hit you a little different because we'll kind of talk about where are you according to the survey. And when I looked at it, for me, where I'm trending and what we talk about often about the year 3, the year 5, the after year 5, almost everything in here fits exactly what we've been saying, for the past year. The only thing that didn't hit for me maybe is the type of work booked. And like I said, the marketing leads, but let's kind of jump in. Let's start out with, and I'll read through real quickly and then you guys just jump in and comment. Okay. So it talks first about income. Those that had zero income, 11.1%, which was around 200 people. And I'm quickly going to blast through these others. $0 to $1,000, around 16%. $1,001 to $5,000, again around 16%. Now comes a drop, 5,000 to 10,000, 8.6%. Then we ease back up into where there seems to be an average or a majority between 10 to 25,000, 11%, and 25 to 50,000, pushing 12%. So both of those, 11.5, 12%. But then here comes that drop, 50,000 to 75,000, 6.7%. 75 to 100,000, another drop to 5.9%. Then there's a little increase at the 101 to 200,000 at 8%. Then it really falls off again at 201 to 500 at 3.7%. But the big surprise to me was the jump at 500K and up at 6%. So 6% of the 1,200 people.
That says 0.6%.
Oh, I'm sorry, 0.6%.
Yeah, less than a percent.
I'm sorry,
less than a percent. I was like, dang,
less than a percent,
just hanging out up there.
Yeah,
I know.
500 and up. So you can kind of see, the big thing is between 10 and 50,000 is where a lot of people are, but the biggest bracket is 1,000 to 5,000. That's your biggest bracket of income.
Those are your hobbyists, or those are your new people that are just getting into it too.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, like, so.
Yeah. So so does it correlate on there what those years or what the years are for those people?
I think there are some. I think they have some.
Though.
It doesn't show you that, but I believe she said that Karen had said there are spreadsheets where they have tried to break all that into that, and they do have some numbers.
Because isn't that a question too? Like on the survey, like how long have you been in voiceover?
It is, and I can't remember if I documented that on here or not. I don't think I did, but we'll get into some other stuff with somewhat about longevity later. But does any of that surprise you guys as far as the percentages and the pricing and whatever? It doesn't me either.
I don't. It doesn't surprise me. I feel like there's that. You said there was a gap between 25 and 50, was it? Or there was a gap between 50 and 100?
That's where you see a big change. If you kind of look at there's two categories, a 10 to 25 and then a 25 to 50, and they are both like 11.5%. But then when it goes to the 50 to 75, it drops to 6.7. So that just tells you that 10 to 50 is about where 25% of those people are.
You know what? The first thing that came to my mind was, so everybody that's out there doing this survey, they're voice actors, right?
Right.
And whether that's you put in 1 hour a week or you put 100 hours a week or you do Fiverr only or you do agents only or you do, SAG only, right? And I think that probably has a big part to play in that number, just thinking, because if let's say you are only Fiverr, you don't do marketing, you don't do pay to plays, you don't do anything else, and you're only Fiverr. So if you're only on Fiverr, right, I think 50,000 a year, just Fiverr alone is probably going to be a lot of those people that are in there. And then it drops down and then it picks back up later at a higher number. And I think those people, they could have some of that, mixed in for their income. But I think it comes from now you're tacking on some agents. Now you're getting those bigger jobs on pay to plays. So maybe there's a gap there that because now you've done it a little while. Yeah. And you started out with this, but now you're moving, you've basically shifted, you've learned more, you've shifted more into the higher paying jobs.
Sure. And keep in mind, this is only 1,291 responses. There's a lot more voice actors than that.
I mean, that's less people than were at or VO Atlanta. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of the thing. And there's so many people we don't even hear of. Let's hit the next thing that I had jotted down. The question was, do you have an agent? The answer was at 59% yes. 41% no. It was a high majority that had an agent. Do you have more than one agent? Yes. 38% no. 62%.
Oh wow!
That's interesting. Isn't that shocked me?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
How many do we all? How many do I mean? Like I have 5.
Who are they?
I have AB Squared, DDO Chicago, Now Talents, MCVO, and Jay Purvis. And they're all in different parts. So I got LA, Atlanta, Chicago, Kansas City, and up in New England.
Good coverage.
Yeah. I have MCVO, New England. I have Coast to Coast, LA.
Nice.
So I have CSM as my management company, but I get a lot of work from them. I get a lot of auditions from them. So I count that as like Chicago. Right, they're Middle America. I have Heyman, which they're kind of like Kentucky, Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, that area. And then I'm on, what would you call it? Probation or
like a trial period?
Yeah, like a trial period with
You're
Tada.
in your pocket.
With Tada.
Oh, okay.
And they're out of Canada.
Nice.
Yep. And so that's who I have. And then I also have my buddy Zach. So Zach is he's a casting director. He has a small, like a boutique firm, and I just booked a blinds.com spot off of him.
Sweet.
Yep. So I would count him because he sends me like 1 or 2 a week.
Nice. I'm right there with you, Jake. 5 MCVO, nice. AB Squared, Talent Group, Access Talent, and Jay Purvis.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wow. We have three. We have 3 of the same.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then Alden's also a Talent Group.
Oh, so, nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's, that's kind of, we're kind of on the opposite side of that one, which is good, I guess. Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next one. And if you guys I know I sent you this, but you may not be looking at it, may not remember. And we can take a guess. How many of these 1,200 some odd people do you think, percentage-wise, are using online casting? Do you think it's higher than 50% or lower?
Higher. I'd have to say. I'm gonna say 67%.
Yeah.
Mighty close.
$1, Bob. No, I'm gonna say 73%.
It's 68.
Yeah.
I was 1 away.
I was looking at it, so I didn't guess, but I would have guessed more than 50. Based on who I would have assumed. 68. Just based on who I would have assumed took the survey.
Yeah.
So get this. Here's the popularity of those, because they ask, well, which ones do you use? Number 1, Voice123. Number 2, Voices.com.
Yep.
Number 3, ACX.
Oh,
that
really?
surprised me.
Yeah, that's surprising. I would have figured.
So got a lot of audiobook readers.
Well, the next one's got me. Casting Call Club was next, then Backstage, then Bodalgo.
Casting Call Club. I don't think I used that one. And I got off Backstage this year. As soon as in fact, I think I was like 2 months into my Backstage membership, and I was like, I'm gonna cancel this to make sure it just does not charge me next year.
That's exactly what I did, because I'm like, dang it charged me for another year, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna cancel it now. Just so I don't forget by next year.
Yeah, I got my money back because I was a week after it renewed.
Let me tell you a couple of surprises in this when you drop down lower. All right, number 10 is Fiverr. Number 11 is Upwork. But they are both ahead of VO Planet, Mandy, and Voice Realm.
VO Planet is so, I don't know if you guys have ever tried it, but I mean, like, I never got anything on there, and I don't know if it was my fault because I didn't have, like, a proper way to contact me, like, listed on there. Like, I sent him to my website, but back then, that was when my website was, like, a portfolio, and there was no way to contact me.
Oh.
So I didn't like that.
Is Voquent on that list?
Voquent was in there. It was in between, like, number 6 and number 10 somewhere.
Because I've gotten work from them. I never do any, I set it all up, and then there's a rep from Voquent that emails me every once in a while, and he's like, hey, I'm basically, what's your availability for this? And then, hey, can you read this sample for me? Because they really liked your profile and your samples and stuff. So, I've gotten a small handful of work from them. That's decent pay too. So,
yeah. Now here's another shocker. What percentage of work comes from pay to play? There were 118 out of the 1,200 that said 100% of their work comes off pay to play.
118 said that out of the 1,200?
Yeah.
Wow.
100%. So that's almost 10%.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, now I have a question. That out of those 100 people that say 100% of my income comes from pay to play,
which pay to plays? We'd love to know.
Well, which pay to plays? Also, where do they fall in the money making category? Because if they're on Voice 123, or if they're on Voices.com, and they booked one job for $250, though, it's still 100% of their income. Right?
I know, and that's kind of that's why I said that one's a little misleading. You can't.
That gives a lot more information if you knew that.
Yeah.
Now, we said earlier, how long have you been a voice actor? We brought that one up. 0 to 1 year was 7%. 1 to 2 years was 14%. 3 to 5 years, 28%. Then we go the other way. 5 to 10 years, 20%. 10 to 15, 12%. And then 15 plus, 19%.
So you can really see where those COVID people are sitting. Like,
that's what I was thinking. I was like, when did this survey come out? What was it? 20?
This reflects 2023.
I'll be interested to see what those numbers are again next year, when we look at this next year, because we kind of have been seeing people leave selling their gear, and they're like, it's just not for me anymore or whatever. And I get that, you know what I mean? So I'll be interested to see if that drops even more, because that was for 2023,
But did those people take the survey? That's
a good question. But it depends on when it was, because the NAVA survey comes out, January or February?
something like that. Early
January,
right after the first.
Okay. So maybe
yeah.
so. But I'm talking about and what I'm talking about, like, you know, anybody after that. That's kind of that's when we started seeing like these things drop off. Is like, you know. This is like, you know, maybe March or something like that, March or April. So I'd be interested to see what the answer is next year.
Whisper rooms for sale. Like during COVID, you couldn't find one to, save your life. Now
Heck, you couldn't hardly buy things from Sweetwater.
Right. Yeah.
Everything.
Now you're buying whisper rooms to make a chicken coop.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah. I do think it does uphold what we talk about a lot, that 5-year window and, you know, all that stuff. And then there's a drop off after year 5. There's a drop off after year 3. 8%, but there's a big drop off after year 5 of like, another 8. It's another 8%. So, but, and then another 8 from the 10 to 15, but then clicks back up. So.
Do you think that's because like, that's kind of like 3 years is a solid number to give something a go. But if you're kind of doing okay and you're making it, you're like, let me give it another year, but it usually goes to 5.
We're talking. Well, we always say that like that. The years between starting with 3 to 5 is like where you kind of know if you're either going to boom or bust. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying it's not possible after that, but you kind of get an idea at the very most by year 5. You know what I mean?
Because you've been in it long enough. You've gotten the coaching. You've seen the success of other people. You've seen the success of yourself. You've seen the demise of others. You've seen, now you've tasted the rainbow, right? You've rode that wave up and down. And if the downs are too down, then you're like, man.
Well, then you should be like, man, some people are just like, I can do this.
Well, this follows a trend.
You make like a Sammy Davis Jr. face. I can do this.
Yeah.
This follows a trend that's not only true about voiceover; it's true about any business you build.
And for sure.
It is.
Speaking with one of the employee training companies that I work with, that I do voiceover for, training videos they create. Their first 5 years of existence, they couldn't figure out how they were going to pay the bills and keep the doors open.
But they did.
After year 5, they said, right around there, we transitioned over just a few months to where we weren't sure how we were going to get all the work done. Because we had so much word had gotten out about them, and it really takes that time to build a foundation for your business.
You start seeing little things grow.
You do. That's why marketing is so important when you start, because you're laying that foundation. And if you market too slow, you may not grow. You may not grow fast enough to keep your own attention in the business. You may get bored with it. You're like, well, nothing's happening here.
Yeah. And as we all know, the amount per job, really changes in year 3, year 4. I'm seeing now I can do way less recording for more money.
Yeah.
And where I was talking, I was talking myself hoarse there for a while just to get, $200 a week. But, and I get that. All right. So let's talk about the level, beginner, intermediate, and pro. 14% of those responding said, I'm a beginner. 25% said I'm intermediate, and 61% said pro. Now, here's the thing that kind of highlights that, yes, part-time people can be pro, because 7% said this is just a hobby. 45% said this is just part-time, and 48% said I do this full-time. So that kind of tells you, there's a 48% gap and 61% for pro. There's some good part-time people, and there are some good part-timers out there.
Oh, yeah.
Some good ones.
Yeah. I mean, here's what's so hard to determine what's part-time for me, at least in this industry. It's like, because you're not necessarily working all the time. I mean, like, like I'm doing marketing, but I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like, I've got my marketing going, but it's doing it. Like, an audition comes in, I do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
but
just like you would on a normal day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So am I part-time or am I full-time,
Well, if I remember what they said in there, if you derived more than 80% or something, I can't remember what the threshold was.
Okay.
Of your income?
So there was
your income. They based it on income, not time invested.
Well, then I guess technically part-time.
I did look at,
I'm available all the time.
I did look at a thing they had in there that had to do with time, and you worked a week, and only 23% said they worked 30 or more hours a week. 23% work 30 or more hours a week.
See,
Now, what's considered work?
Well, however, 48% say they're full time. So how does that work?
You divide, I mean, any time you give to doing voiceover or voiceover related stuff. I mean, business stuff, you're working, that
comes down to income. That's the other thing, saying full time, but I don't have to work. I don't have to work 30 hours or so a week. And there's some weeks, you got things going on. Like we have this week, we went to the doctor Monday, went to another thing yesterday, didn't have anything today, but I had to go to Walgreens. They gave us the wrong medicine yesterday, and you're killing time doing all this stuff. And there are some days you're lucky if you get 2 hours a day in. I understand.
Sure, stuff comes up.
Yeah, it comes up. But unlike when I had another job, I don't have to go ask somebody, can I leave? I need to leave for a couple hours. Oh my gosh, do I like this.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I'll run through some of the other junk. Direct marketing, like I said, number one was LinkedIn. Number two, and I think number two is the one. It says other methods. That's the one that I think that's where people are maybe using somebody, outsourcing, blah, 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 whatever. And then it came into Google. And then number 4 was direct from my website. That's pretty good. That tells you what we've heard to really work on, getting your website more findable, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask this question, because I had 2 people in the last 2 weeks reach out to me on my website, but I asked them both how they found me. One found me in my samples on VDC, but still looked me up and found me online to reach out that way. Yeah. And another one found my information on 123 and then emailed me directly. So, I mean, I guess I'll count that one as 123. But I mean, so this person that messaged me through my website, they said they found me through VDC, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful they reached out directly because, that 20% or whatever. But I mean, coming off my website, I've had 2 things. One was a paid audition, and the guy in the message I remember him giving me was like, hey, you're already a finalist. We're going to pay you for your audition. I didn't end up getting the spot, but sure enough, I mean, I was skeptical the whole time. And then I got a check in the mail. I think it was 4 weeks after he had initially contacted me. Yeah. And I was like, I didn't do anything but audition. And that was just through my website and people looking at you and whatnot. So that's always crazy when I see, I want people to reach out to me through my website, but I'm barely scratching the surface of that now. So that's interesting. And I want to know how to get to that spot. Because in our JMC episode, that was his number one thing. He was like, have an SEO, be a number one on that sheet or whatever. And if you use Wix, depending on your level of tier, if you go look at your analytics, it'll show you where you pop up and how people find you and where you're ranked on that page. For what that particular search is and everything like that.
Yep. Well, let me quickly run through. The question was, what type of VO work do you mainly book? I don't know why it surprised me, but then I have to remember there are people that are way different than I am. So commercial was number 1. Then it was video games, e-learning, explainer and non-broadcast, animation, audiobooks, dubbing, audio drama, IVR, podcast, promo, medical, documentary, live, voice of God stuff, radio imaging, I believe that's way down, in-show narration, way down, trailers, fan dubs, audio descriptions, had a bad spelling there, and the last one was toys.
Toys, nice.
I really thought e-learning and corporate narration, all that would have been number 1, then commercial, but good God, the amount of commercials that are on.
Well, here's the thing. Almost anything that can be counted as a commercial, even if it's just playing at the local, it's playing at the theater or whatever, commercial work. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so much out there. But I mean, here's the thing.
In-store, that's commercial.
Yeah, in-store commercial,
Yeah, anything public-facing.
Yeah, and I would have thought
paid ads on social media.
I would have thought that e-learning or corporate narration would have been number 1 because, commercials seem so, just because we say commercial doesn't mean it's one of those grand national high-paying commercials, But so that is interesting. But I feel like for me personally, I think I booked commercial the most.
Well, I think that being in L&D, right, learning and development, I found that a lot of L&D departments do their own voiceover for their web-based trainings. Right? It's they have 8 people. Right, on their L&D team, let's say they have three designers for they're developing the web-based training, and then a lot of times they'll voice their own characters right through the thing, or they'll reach out to the rest of the L&D team and be like, hey, we're looking, we need 4 characters, and they're going to be doing this conversation, So then they do it. So I could see that, like, but for commercials, people aren't going to do their own commercials, right? That's where they're going to hire somebody out to be the voice.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. I think that we do need to realize that it is a broader than just this played when I was watching TV.
Yeah.
I mean, something pops up for a new video game while you're playing a game on your phone.
Yeah.
That's in that category as well.
Right. Right.
Interesting.
We never talked about what, like, when we brought up the pay to plays. I mean, like, where's the majority of y'all's work coming through this year?
Mine pay to plays.
Pay to plays. Okay.
And when I say pay to plays, it's
1, 2, 3.
mostly 1, 2, 3. Voice
Yeah. Direct. Not direct clients.
Nice. I fit right into what they showed on there as an average, because they broke it all out. And then what was the highest rank, which I said 9% said they get all their work, from there, 118. But actually 10% was the highest rank. The most people answered 10% pay to play.
Okay. Half of my stuff is about pay to play.
So a small handful of people are killing it on pay to play. That's what that tells me, and the rest of us are getting crumbs, because like that's pretty close to mine. I'm 10 to 15% pay to play, like 2% maybe for agents, and then I'm like 80 direct, and then everything else is BS stuff that's other platforms.
So I got a question. So I'll get my clients through pay to play.
But they become direct clients.
But they all So like actual bookings this year on the site, probably 4.
Wow.
But clients that have come from auditions that I've done on Voice 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
40 something maybe this year so far. Like it's crazy. The numbers are crazy.
But I think you're right. Are they booking? They're not paying you through there, but are they booking you off there? No.
Nope. They're all checks in the mail or ACH. I send an invoice.
Nice, I love it.
But I'm not saying that. Right, but are they? Do they post that job and you win that job there? I think that's what they're saying in this survey. It's
or
not
do they
the
email
fact
you directly now?
Yeah, it's not the fact that Voice 1, 2, 3 is that you're getting paid through them or getting paid through voices.com. I think it's the fact of that's where I got the job.
Right. Like, did you get did you respond to a job on the platform?
Yeah. So I audition on the platform.
Right. No,
I win that audition. I don't get it booked through the platform.
Right.
But
That's still.
They're like, hey, we like your audition.
Site, though.
Yeah.
But
I think it's origination. I think that's what needs to count as origination.
Yeah. Then that's a pretty darn high number for me.
But if they come back
directly,
a month later and email you direct, then that goes into your direct bucket.
It could be
I would still consider that for the survey
2 years
and for how do you find clients.
3 years
later. Still
later.
found that client on 1, 2, 3.
You did.
Yep.
You did.
Yeah.
So Troy helped me out yesterday with a mixing for a commercial, and that plumbing commercial was a direct. But the first time he hired me, it was through Voice 1, 2, 3 for like another HVAC company.
Yeah.
And then he messaged me directly. This was 2 months later, and then we booked those other 2 spots for another brand that company conglomerate owns.
Oh yeah.
And we had a call today at 2:00 because I just want to make sure and go over the pricing with him, see if we're both on the same page. Perfect. We're both on the same page. And he's like, I have another client. And he's like, you don't have any exclusivity with like motor oil companies or anything, do you? And I was like, I've done them before, but there's no exclusivity in the contract. He's like, awesome. Because he has, let's just say it starts with a J and ends with an E. Okay. And they have like 176 locations. And so he's like, that's a big one that I'm going to be working with. And he goes, and I work with a ton of other ones. And then the opportunity came up. I was like, dude, if you ever need a scratch, right? Instead of using an AI voice or trying to read it to pitch it or pitching it without a scratch, I was like, just shoot me a message and I'll do scratches for cheap. But the good thing is it's good for him because now he's pitching this proof of concept to the client, and it has a professional voice actor in there. Everything's like the motions. It's not just like a scratch is going to be a piece of crap that I'm going to read and just record. It's going to be in here. It's all going to be edited. It's going to be clean. Good. You're right. And then I'm like, and then if they end up using it, I was like, just hire me for the spot.
Let me ask.
And he's like, that's a great idea. Like, he didn't even think of that, which is crazy to me, right? Like, he didn't even think of that. So he's like, oh yeah. So yeah, because it would be much better for me, and it would be a less, it's such a hard pitch without the full product.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's a great idea. He's like, I'll definitely reach out to you. So use those opportunities, because now.
For sure. Yep, for sure. So you guys kind of, feel like after we went through these numbers, they're fairly accurate. They kind of match the year before. What I'd like to do next year when this comes out is actually stack the 3 years so we can talk about those trends. Where did the COVID babies go? And is that really what's going on? Is it really continuing? And are we seeing a continual fall in this bracket and that bracket? I think that'll be fun to look at next year. And we'll try to do it earlier. There were so many other people talking about it lately. I thought, we'll wait and let it blow over. But I think it's, if you can go to the NAVA website and look at it in full, lots of nice, pretty pie charts and graphs. And if you're wondering, hey, I've been doing this 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, where do I fit? I think it's very realistic. I think it's very grounding. I don't think it's something, you're not seeing the people who said, I've been in this for a year and I took some dude's thing on Facebook and I'm now making 100,000 in my first year.
Right. Yeah.
We don't see much of that, if any.
Right.
Yeah.
And like Alden said, there are people, maybe on Fiverr making a good, decent amount of money. They may not even have done this survey. We don't know.
You don't know. Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's a damn good sampling. Excuse
It's a
my
snapshot.
French.
Yeah, it's a snapshot. And the more people that take the survey next year, it'll get a better picture. The more people that take a survey, you can get a more clear picture. And as NAVA grows with the people who know who NAVA is, and we certainly want to educate so that more voice actors can get involved and take the survey and participate in that, because it only helps.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's a great organization that works on voice actors' behalf.
Oh, gosh,
so
they're doing some good stuff.
If you want to join one, it's a good one to join. So
it is. And even if you say, well, I can't do the dues, I can't do this, just a small donation, a $20, $25 donation helps. Everything helps, because they've got, they're paying a lot of out-of-pocket expenses, and every little thing helps.
They're traveling to DC, staying there for days, fighting for us. And that's all, that money's got to come from someplace.
And if you're a member, you're offered a lot of really good workshops for cheap.
Yeah.
Like $20, $25, $35, and very, very good workshops. Some of them are informational. Some of them you participate. Casting directors, people that are, know what they're doing. It could be other people in business or whatever, and you'll get a lot of good information.
And they have cool T-shirts.
They do.
They got good merch.
Hey guys, any parting shots as we get out of here related to either the survey or what you got going on?
Survey, I think it stands as something. Yeah, it stands as something that's worth taking a look at and worth looking for. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Just a little news for me. I will be going on vacation.
What?
Not this coming Saturday. I'll be going next Saturday. My wife and I are going to fly out to California. We're going to rent a car. We're going to drive up to Yellowstone.
Ooh.
We got a hotel in Yellowstone Valley. It's at the Awana Hotel. And you can see like El Capitan.
I want to go with you.
I know, right? So we're excited about that. Then we're going to drive back down into LA over the 4th of July holiday during that week, hang out with my brother. And then we're going to fly back on Sunday. So I'll be taking a little vacation for a week.
Boy, man,
Fun.
enjoy.
Cool.
And we will, if we don't record ahead, we may not have something the week of July 4th, but we'll see. But hang in there with us either way.
We've released an episode every week for almost 60 straight weeks or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think we're allowed if that happens.
Yeah. We'll take a vacation. You think we'd be out of stuff to talk about, but it doesn't seem to happen somehow.
No, you know what? I have an idea. So after we record this podcast and finish it up, I'll pitch the idea to you guys. I think it'll be
okay.
Cool.
That's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, if nothing else, I got to prep. I'm going to a narration workshop tonight, so I got to prep for that and get a bite to eat and get out of here. Looking forward to it. I have never coached in narration or e-learning, and I'm looking forward to it because I really just want to see what the differences are. What's the differences and the nuances and everything. I've been coaching in documentary and in show, which has been different, but there are some similarities. So I'm curious to see where this goes. And I'll get to watch a lot of other people. I think there are 12 participants in the workshop.
That's the gold, man. It's not just the coaching with you, but it's listening to other people get coached.
I actually signed up I just signed up to edit. And I just wanted to watch. And then she sent me things, says, hey, I got an open spot if you want it. And I don't even know if I was the first one to move up or not. But whatever it was, I'm glad to get in there. It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Edit or audit?
Audit, edit, whatever you call it. I don't know.
Nissan.
I don't know. Yeah. Nissan. Nice.
Goodness.
Alden.
Timber.
Timber. Yeah. No, I didn't know that about timber, though, in timbre. Yeah. So that's kind of something new every day.
Timber, yeah.
Neither. Well, guys, have a good rest of the week. I appreciate you guys hooking up. We had to make some changes this week. Thanks a bunch. And to everybody out there listening, have a great week. And so long, see you from all of us right here. Hasta luego.
Later, dudes.
Yep.
Contents of Another VO podcast may cause drowsiness, itchy forehead, burning armpits, or headache. Some less known side effects include mashed toes, sore egos, irritable bowel, or just an old-fashioned case of red ass. Opinions given are not fact but opinion, and names have been changed to protect the 3 idiots who record this podcast.